Welcome back, everybody. Today, we're going on a deep dive, a deep dive into the history of early Christianity.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it's a story full of twists and turns, I
Oh,
might surprise even those of you who are already familiar with the faith.
right.
And our sources for this deep dive are excerpts from a lecture series,
Okay.
which I think you'll find incredibly insightful.
Okay, great.
So, we're going to trace Christianity's journey
Okay.
from a small sect within Judaism to a major force shaping Western civilization.
Wow.
Get this.
Okay.
We'll even uncover the story behind BC and AD,
Interesting.
the Roman emperor who had a hand in the date we celebrate Christmas, and how a simple children's song impacted one of history's most influential theologians.
Oh, wow. I'm excited to explore all these facets with you.
Yeah.
It's really crucial to remember that Christianity isn't just a set of doctrines. It's a living story that unfolds within a specific historical context.
Right.
Understanding that context is key to grasping its evolution and impact.
Okay, so let's unpack this. You're saying that the historical backdrop is essential to understanding Christianity's journey.
Yes.
Is there a particular event or detail that highlights this connection for you?
Absolutely. Consider the sign placed on Jesus' cross.
Okay.
The fact that it was written in Hebrew, Greek, and Latin
Wow.
foreshadows the very cultures Christianity would soon engage with.
That's fascinating.
Yeah.
It's like those three languages on the crucifixion sign were a preview of the cultural landscape that Christianity would eventually navigate.
Right.
It reminds us that from the very beginning, this faith is destined to spread beyond its Jewish roots.
Absolutely.
And speaking of spreading the message,
Yeah.
we can't overlook the role of the Apostle Paul, right?
Right.
He seems perfectly positioned to interpret Jesus' teachings for a wider audience.
Paul's role was indeed pivotal.
Okay.
He was a Jew like Jesus,
Okay.
but he also had the advantage of a classical education and the freedom to travel throughout the Roman Empire.
Oh, wow. So that's important.
This allowed him to connect with both Jewish and Gentile communities, bridging cultural and philosophical divides.
So he's bridging cultures, he's spreading the word. It's almost like he's laying the groundwork for a global faith.
Absolutely.
And it's interesting that the early church decided to retain the Old Testament as part of their scriptures.
Right.
What was the significance of that choice?
That decision was monumental.
Okay.
By retaining the Old Testament, early Christians connected the God of creation, the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, to Jesus.
Uh-huh.
This established a sense of continuity with Jewish tradition, while simultaneously introducing a radical new understanding of God's relationship with humanity.
Okay.
It raises profound questions about how religious traditions evolve and adapt over time.
Here's where it gets really interesting to me.
Okay.
Christianity starts expanding and it bumps right into Hellenism,
Yeah.
the dominant Greek culture of the time, which emphasized philosophy and reason.
Right.
You've got this clash between faith and reason, Jerusalem and Athens. It feels like a recurring theme throughout history, doesn't it?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Early Christians had to grapple with how to incorporate Greek philosophical ideas without compromising their core beliefs.
Right.
Tertullian, an early Christian thinker, famously asked, "What has Athens to do with Jerusalem?"
Wow.
That question still resonates today as we navigate the relationship between faith and secular knowledge.
For someone living in the 21st century, I can totally relate to Tertullian's question.
Right.
We are still wrestling with how faith and reason intersect, how science and religion inform each other, and then to add another layer of complexity, we have the Roman Empire entering the picture.
Yes.
Christianity emerges during the Pax Romana, a period of unprecedented peace and stability enforced by, well, Rome.
Yeah.
But there was a catch, wasn't there?
A significant one.
Okay.
Roman citizens were expected to worship the emperor as a god.
Okay.
This created an immediate conflict for Christians who refused to see Caesar as divine. Their declaration that Jesus is Lord, not Caesar, was a radical and dangerous stance in that context, leading to waves of persecution.
So imagine the scene. You're a Christian in the Roman Empire, and you're told to worship the emperor.
Right.
You're faced with a choice about deny your faith or face the consequences.
Right.
And the consequences could be brutal.
Yes.
But here's what I find incredible.
Okay.
Those persecutions, despite their brutality, actually helped spread Christianity.
Right.
How does that even work?
It seems counterintuitive, but it's true.
Yeah.
People witness the unwavering faith of the martyrs who faced death with extraordinary courage and even joy.
Wow.
These public displays of faith, even in the face of unimaginable suffering, were deeply moving to those who witnessed them.
It's like their unwavering faith became a testament to the power of their beliefs,
Absolutely.
even inspiring some onlookers to convert.
Yes.
The stories of those martyrs like Perpetua and Felicitas
Right.
weren't just about preserving their memory.
Right.
They became powerful tools for spreading the Christian message.
These narratives served as a form of evangelism, showcasing the transformative power of faith in the face of adversity.
And then we have this major turning point, Constantine's conversion.
Yes.
Whether divinely inspired or a shrewd political maneuver, it dramatically changed the landscape for Christianity.
Yes.
Suddenly, you've got the symbol of Christ on Roman shields.
Yeah.
It's mind-blowing.
Constantine's victory at Milvian Bridge, after his reported vision of the Chi-Rho symbol, is a pivotal moment.
Okay.
This victory, attributed by Constantine to the Christian God,
Okay.
led to the Edict of Milan, which granted Christianity legal status within the Roman Empire.
Wow.
Think about the magnitude of that shift from persecuted to protected almost overnight.
It's almost like a complete flip of the script.
It is.
And then Constantine does something even more surprising.
Okay.
He moves the celebration of Sol Invictus, the Roman sun god, to December 25th.
Yeah.
That date, as you know, eventually becomes Christmas Day.
Wow.
It's as if he intentionally blended pagan traditions with Christian ones. Was this purely about spreading Christianity, or was there a political strategy at play?
That's a question historians still debate.
Yeah.
It highlights the complexities of Constantine's legacy.
Okay.
On the one hand, he played a crucial role in legitimizing Christianity within the Roman Empire. On the other hand, his actions also raise questions about the potential downsides of merging religious and political power.
So Constantine's conversion brings a new set of challenges and opportunities for the faith.
Yes.
This brings us to a question I've been pondering.
Okay.
With less focus on imminent persecution, did the way Christians viewed their faith change? Did their priorities shift?
That's an astute observation.
Okay.
With the threat of persecution diminished, Christians began to look back to their past,
Okay.
seeking to connect with the origins of their faith.
Right.
The construction of basilicas and pilgrimages to the Holy Land became increasingly important practices.
Okay.
These tangible connections to the physical spaces where Jesus lived and taught helped solidify Christian identity and community.
It's like they were grounding themselves in history, establishing roots.
Yeah.
And with martyrdom becoming less common, did other forms of spiritual dedication emerge? Did they find new ways to express their commitment?
Absolutely. With the threat of martyrdom receding, a new form of spiritual dedication emerged. Monasticism.
Okay.
St. Anthony, inspired by Jesus' words to give up everything and follow him, chose to live in the Egyptian desert, embracing a life of solitude, prayer, and spiritual discipline.
Wow.
He believed he was battling spiritual demons in that desolate landscape, making his commitment all the more impressive.
It's fascinating how the expression of faith evolved based on the circumstances.
It is.
Monasticism becomes this model for spiritual growth and discipline, influencing Christian practices for centuries.
Right.
And alongside these shifts in practice, Christian theology seems to be becoming more defined, more systematic.
Yes.
They're tackling big questions like the relationship between Jesus and God.
Right. That's exactly.
Yeah.
This era marks a time of intense theological debate, with Christian thinkers wrestling with some of the faith's most fundamental doctrines. From those discussions emerged the Apostles' Creed,
Okay.
a concise statement of core Christian beliefs that sought to clarify and unify Christian understanding.
It's like they're creating a framework for understanding their faith.
Yes.
But I imagine there were still disagreements, particularly about the nature of God and Jesus.
You're right. While the Apostles' Creed addressed some key beliefs, the most heated debate centered on the Trinity,
Right.
the nature of God as Father, Son, and Holy Spirit.
Okay.
The central question was, how could Jesus be both God and the Son of God?
Yeah.
It was a complex theological puzzle with profound implications for how Christians understood their faith.
It's like they're grappling with the ultimate mystery, the nature of God.
Exactly.
Did different schools of thought emerge on this?
Absolutely. Arius, a prominent theologian of the time, argued that Jesus was created by God,
Okay.
making him distinct from and subordinate to the Father.
So he's not.
Not quite equal.
Okay.
This view, known as Arianism, sparked significant controversy. In contrast, Athanasius, another influential theologian, insisted that Jesus and God were of the same essence,
Okay.
co-eternal and equal.
Wow.
These are high-stakes theological arguments with major implications for how Christians understood Jesus' divinity and his role in salvation.
So you've got these competing interpretations, these passionate debates about the very nature of God. It Sounds like a pivotal moment in the development of Christian thought. What happened next? How did they try to resolve these theological tensions?
Well, in an attempt to address these theological disputes, Emperor Constantine convened the Council of Nicaea in 325 AD.
Okay.
This council, gathering bishops from across the Christian world, aimed to settle the debate on the nature of Christ.
Wow. So the emperor steps in to try and bring about theological unity.
He did.
That speaks volumes about the influence Christianity had gained within the empire. Was the Council of Nicaea able to resolve the Arian controversy?
Yes. The Council of Nicaea ultimately sided with Athanasius, condemning Arianism as heresy and affirming the doctrine of the Trinity.
Wow.
That God exists as three co-equal and co-eternal persons, Father, Son, and Holy Spirit.
Okay.
This decision had a profound impact on the development of Christian theology, shaping our understanding of God's nature and Jesus' divinity.
It's amazing how a council convened centuries ago continues to have ramifications for how Christians understand their faith today. It underlines how these early debates shaped the very foundation of Christian belief.
Absolutely. The Council of Nicaea is a testament to the importance of theological dialogue and the Church's ongoing efforts to clarify its understanding of God and the Christian message.
Yeah.
And this leads us to another remarkable figure who emerges during this period, Augustine of Hippo.
Right.
His journey to faith is quite captivating, isn't it?
Augustine's story is definitely one for the books. He dabbled in Manichaeanism, a dualistic religion that viewed the world as a battle between good and evil.
Oh, wow.
He explored skepticism, questioning the possibility of certain knowledge.
Right.
He delved into Neoplatonism, a philosophical system that emphasized spiritual enlightenment.
Mm-hmm.
And finally, he found his way to Christianity. It seems like he went through a whirlwind of intellectual and spiritual exploration before finding his home in the Christian faith.
Augustine's conversion story is relatable even today.
Yeah.
It speaks to that universal human search for meaning, that restless longing that so many of us experience.
Right.
And who can forget the image of those children singing Tolelege, prompting him to open the Bible and read Romans 13?
Right.
It's a moment that captures the power of seemingly random events to shape our destinies.
It reminds us that sometimes the most profound shifts in our lives can come from unexpected sources. What struck you most about Augustine's theological contributions?
Augustine's writings on grace, sin, and the Christian life were incredibly influential. He's often seen as a bridge between the ancient and medieval worlds, and his ideas continue to be debated and discussed by theologians and philosophers today.
So Augustine grappled with questions that still resonate with us centuries later. What were some of the core ideas that made his work so enduring?
Augustine emphasized the idea of God's grace as essential for salvation,
Okay.
arguing that human beings are inherently sinful and incapable of achieving righteousness on their own.
Yeah.
He also explored the nature of evil, suggesting that it's not a separate force, but rather the absence of good.
Interesting.
His work on the City of God, a philosophical treatise on the nature of human society and the role of the Church, continues to influence Christian thinking about political and social issues.
It sounds like he tackled some of the most fundamental questions of human existence. The nature of good and evil, the role of grace, the purpose of human society. So no wonder his work continues to fascinate and challenge readers today.
Precisely, Augustine's legacy is complex and multifaceted.
Yeah.
He grappled with profound questions about faith, reason, human nature, and the nature of reality itself.
Right.
His work serves as a reminder that wrestling with difficult questions and engaging in rigorous intellectual exploration can enrich and deepen our understanding of ourselves and the world around us.
You know, as we've been delving into this history, I've noticed a recurring theme: challenge and response.
Well,
Early Christians faced persecution, theological disputes, cultural clashes,
right.
and they constantly had to adapt and find new ways to express their faith.
You've hit upon a crucial insight. The history of early Christianity is a testament to the resilience and adaptability of the faith.
Right.
Each challenge they faced led to new forms of expression, new theological insights, and new ways of living out their beliefs.
Take, for instance, their response to persecution. Their courage in the face of death was inspiring, and it definitely drew people to their faith.
Yes.
But it also led to some pretty profound theological reflections on the nature of martyrdom, sacrifice, and the meaning of suffering.
Absolutely. They had to grapple with the question of why a loving God would allow such suffering. Their answers helped shape Christian understanding of martyrdom as a witness to faith and the ultimate victory of good over evil.
Right.
It also profoundly shaped their understanding of what it meant to live a truly Christian life, even in the face of adversity.
And when martyrdom was no longer the norm, thanks in part to Constantine's embrace of Christianity, they sought other ways to demonstrate their devotion and commitment.
Yes.
That's where we see the rise of monasticism, with individuals like St. Anthony dedicating themselves to lives of solitude, prayer, and asceticism.
It's fascinating to see how different forms of Christian spirituality emerged in response to changing historical circumstances.
Yeah.
From the communal life of the early church, centered around shared meals and worship, to the solitary existence of the Desert Fathers, seeking spiritual enlightenment through solitude and contemplation.
Yeah.
Christianity has always found ways to adapt and express its core values in diverse ways.
And we can't forget the seismic shift brought about by Constantine's conversion.
Right.
It brought Christianity into the mainstream, giving it a level of influence and power it had never experienced before. But as with any major change, it also presented new challenges.
That's right. The fusion of church and state, while offering protection and resources, also raised questions about the proper relationship between religious and political authority.
Okay.
This tension is played out throughout history and continues to be debated today. How much influence should religious institutions have in political affairs? Should the state support or regulate religious practices? These are complex issues with no easy answers.
It's a reminder that even seemingly positive developments can have unintended consequences. And the early church had to figure out how to navigate these uncharted waters.
Right.
They had to develop new systems of governance, interpret scripture for a wider audience, and define their beliefs more clearly in response to challenges from within and outside the Christian community.
Precisely. It was a period of tremendous growth and transformation requiring innovation and adaptation on multiple fronts.
Wow.
They weren't just trying to survive. They were striving to thrive and shape the course of history.
And in doing so, they were laying the foundation for a faith that would eventually spread across the globe.
Yes.
But it wasn't just about expanding geographically. It was also about deepening their understanding of the faith itself.
Exactly.
As we've seen, they weren't afraid to wrestle with tough theological questions.
Absolutely. The early church wasn't just about spreading the message. It was about understanding it, grappling with its complexities, and refining its core doctrines.
Right.
The debates we've discussed, from the nature of Christ to the role of grace, were essential to the development of Christian thought.
And they gave rise to some of the most influential thinkers in Western history.
They did.
Augustine's work alone continues to shape theological and philosophical discussions even today. His writings on human nature, the problem of evil, and the meaning of grace offer profound insights that transcend any particular era.
His work is a testament to the enduring power of the questions he wrestled with. They are timeless themes that resonate with people across cultures and throughout history.
And as we've journeyed through this history, it's become clear that engaging with the past isn't just about memorizing facts and dates.
Right.
It's about understanding the continuity of human experience. The struggles, the triumphs, the questions, the insights.
Yes.
They all connect us to those who came before us.
Precisely. The history of early Christianity offers a window into the human search for meaning, purpose, and connection with something larger than ourselves. It's a story that continues to speak to us today, offering insights into the enduring power of faith, the resilience of the human spirit, and the ongoing quest for truth.
You know, it strikes me that we often think of history as this distant, almost irrelevant thing.
Yeah.
But as we've been exploring the world of early Christianity, it's become so clear that their story is actually our story. Their questions, their challenges, their search for meaning.
Absolutely.
It all feels remarkably relevant to the human experience even today.
I couldn't agree more. It's as if we've been time traveling with these early Christians.
Right.
Getting a glimpse into their world, their struggles and their triumphs. And what's fascinating is how much of their experience resonates with us today, even if our context is vastly different.
It's like they've given us this roadmap for navigating the complexities of faith in a changing world. We've seen how they grappled with theological questions, faced down persecution, and adapted to new cultural landscapes. What do you think is the most significant takeaway from their journey?
That's a great question. I think the most important lesson we can glean from the history of early Christianity is that faith isn't static. It's not a set of rigid doctrines etched in stone. It's a dynamic, living thing that evolves, adapts, and responds to the changing circumstances of each generation.
It's almost like a river constantly flowing, shaping and reshaping the landscape it passes through.
Exactly. And that means we shouldn't be afraid to ask difficult questions, to engage in honest dialogue about our beliefs, and to be open to new ways of understanding and expressing our faith.
So it's about finding that balance, holding on to the core values at the heart of our faith, while also being willing to adapt and grow.
Yeah,
It's a dance between tradition and innovation, isn't it?
precisely. And this dance was central to the early church's experience. They had to interpret ancient scriptures for a new world, integrate diverse cultural influences, and respond to challenges from both within and outside their community.
And through it all, they were shaping a faith that would ultimately impact billions of lives across centuries. It's a truly remarkable story of resilience and adaptation.
Absolutely. And their story offers valuable lessons for us as we navigate our own faith journeys in the 21st century.
As we wrap up this deep dive, I'm curious, what's the one thing you hope our listener will take away from this exploration of early Christianity?
If there's one thing I hope our listener takes away, it's this. History is not just a collection of dusty facts and dates. It's a living narrative that connects us to the past and illuminates our present. And when we engage with history, especially the history of our own faith, we discovered that the questions, struggles, and triumphs of those who came before us can offer profound insights for our own lives.
So, dear listener, as you go about your day, I encourage you to carry with you a sense of wonder and curiosity about this incredible journey of faith that has brought us to where we are today. And perhaps this deep dive has sparked some new questions for you, some fresh perspectives, some renewed inspiration to explore your own faith journey with a bit more depth and understanding. Keep digging, keep questioning, and keep exploring. The adventure of faith is never ending.